All right. Hello. Thank you for coming. If you're watching this show live, feel free to add comments. I'll try to pay attention and respond to them. If you're watching the past recording, go ahead and add comments and everything, and I'll try to address them as best I can. But I am here to talk a little bit about developer experience. So let's go. My name is Jason. I do have a keen interest in developer experience. And part of the spirit of the show is I am sharing a little bit about what I'm working on while also evaluating new tools. And since I am looking at the work of others, I do want to remind, especially if you add a comment or anything like that, please be kind, both to me, but also to anyone who's working on these systems and tools and APIs and libraries. The spirit here, even if something does seem a little critical, is to be growth oriented and sort of acknowledging, hey, here's something that's not as effective and could be better, or recognizing, hey, this works great, I should replicate this in my own projects. Because quite frankly, good developer experience is hard work. But also, I want to put out that reminder too, that learning takes effort. So yeah, even if you've been in the industry for a long time or just still in school, doesn't really matter. When you're looking at a new system or trying to solve a new class of problem, that can be challenging or just take some time. So what you're actually going to see is more or less my first 30 minutes or so using a new tool for the first time. So more or less, I don't know what I'm doing. But I think that looking with something with fresh eyes can also be very insightful in terms of how we build whatever it is we're working on. Uh, Another spirit of this is around this notion of time to hello world. And so hence doing this at 3:30 p.m. Pacific time. Obviously, depending on where you are in the world, it may be a different time, if you're watching the recording, likewise. But it is the spirit of, hey, how quickly does it take to understand what the API is for, figure out how to get started, create an account, get to hello world. 3 minutes feels very aggressive. I anticipate at least 30. Um, so there are some concepts I have discussed in some of the other shows around friction logging and what that means and why I'm doing this as a stream, what customer zero, what that project or that approach to development and developer experiences, user-centered design. I've also talked about developer intent. And today I've also talked a little bit about the definition of, well, what is developer experience anyway? So from the book, Developer Relations, How to Build and Grow a Successful Developer Program by Caroline Luco. That is a typo there, and James Parton. Developer experience is the experience developers have when they interact with your product and documentation. And I think that is useful from this perspective of a developer journey map. So I'm actually going to fire up a web browser where this was published on Substack, this diagram, just to get a little bit of a cleaner view of it and go into detail. But basically, it's the idea that the developer journey, is a series of steps. So let's grab this URL real quick, and then I'll zoom in here in a moment. Let's do that. Um, and here's the image, a little bit bigger. And and I think this is a useful illustration. It is in the book, and it is unpacked what some of it means as well. Sort of this process of going through discovery. So today I'm looking at Contentful today. So then it becomes, well, wait, how did I even know to look at Contentful? And am I going to be able to figure out, does it solve my problem or not? And do I feel like it is a credible solution? Like, do I feel comfortable using, Acme Co, or would I feel more comfortable using Google or Microsoft? Does brand recognition or what other characteristics are important to help me understand if something is worth using or not? I am in this evaluation stage, so looking at different products myself. Right? Does it seem easy to use? Are there any red flags that are kind of stopping me from being effective? Is the pricing just and full stop, can't move any further? And then this is really the spirit of what I've been looking at in the show is this learn phase, right? Which is, okay, I have not used Contentful before. How long is it going to take me to get to Hello World? Do I have a good experience using the documentation? Do I feel confident in the solution? Is there a community that I can ask someone if I get stuck? All those things consideration. And then the thing I don't do in the live stream is then go off and build, of course, right? So now at that point, trying to get to an MVP. So even if I can learn and ramp up really quickly, does it actually have all the features I need to get to production? Becomes the next question. If I need support, are they there for me? Is it good value for the money? Those kinds of things, and of course, getting to scale. Yeah, these stages is all I really wanted to focus on. There are lots of elements that we're going to see here. Of course, the landing page of the documentation, whether it's frequently asked questions. I'll probably go through the getting started guide today, and things like that. But I think those overall stages is still a relatively useful concept to consider, um, in terms of what I'm talking about in terms of developer experience. So let's see what's else. If you haven't seen before, I as long as my schedule allows, I've been doing these around 3:30, just sort of taking kind of an opportunity to take a step out and go learn something. Streaming both to Twitch and YouTube. If you have a preference, would be interested in knowing. I might also start doing this on LinkedIn Live when I feel a little bit more confident that I've got the right formula here of what is useful and interesting. But you can go to developerxp.com. That is where I have the full schedule of what's going on and everything. So you can check out the show schedule and stuff there. But with that all in mind, let's go. So I am looking at Contentful. So I want to say Contentful was the first one I heard about in this headless CMS space. I have actually looked at a few of the alternatives out there as well, and other shows. But the idea being, I still haven't decided whether, if I'm managing content, which I am, whether I just do it in Markdown or something else, whether I do need it more with an API so that I can programmatically insert in various places in various orders, whether I am making it available to other people to make changes to the content, or whether I just want to do that as part of my own data storage, right? Do I need to use a third party for that? It's better to buy or build, is a decision I need to make. But that all said, Contentful presumably is in the space. The idea of localization, all those sorts of things become, very appealing. But I've never tried it before. I'll be honest. I just have not. I have some concepts of it, but I have never tried it. So let's see how it's being positioned here. I found the website. I almost always start with search. I think most people do, to find the right site. Who knows if it's contentful.com or IO or dev or AI. But usually by doing a search, you might also find some third-party impartial reviews. I do think a .com website is important personally, but I don't necessarily trust anything I'm going to read here. The only thing it does is give me a little bit of a high overview to frame context and intent. So where content drives business momentum, for example, right? Like that, at least for me, that doesn't tell me anything. Those are just words. I mean, it's maybe flowery language, but it doesn't give me any insight into what it is or what it does. Tools for composable content innovation, a content platform, or the Contentful platform, studio, and ecosystem. So presumably those are the main products. I could go here and see why composable content. I like that use of the word composable, because I think that is why I am considering these types of solutions. But there's platform features and studio. It was in craft. So I'm guessing studio, empower creative teams to visually craft captivating content experiences without writing code. Um, I don't know. I feel like this does speak to someone who maybe already understands a little bit about what it is, and maybe I do fall in that category. But I'm interpreting this as contentful platform is, hey, we're API first, but that doesn't mean developers don't deserve nice things, and there are people who are not developers. So therefore, we also have a user interface to interact, and that seems like a reasonable thing. Ecosystem, extensible tech stack. Okay. Um, let's see what else I can see about this. So here's where some of the brands that come in about what they're doing. Um, marketer's guide, AI content type generator. Not sure what I'm getting out of that yet. Use cases, localization, does seem appealing. Composable commerce. Um, I don't know commerce solutions at scales. That doesn't really tell me what I'm going to find here. So I will ignore it. Support portal and knowledge base. I just sort of, reference back to the developer journey, right? Knowing, hey, I can go get it some information and mobile applications. Yeah, these use cases are what I expected, maybe, but that's okay. Resources, white papers, ebooks, and videos, customer stories, a blog, events, help center, learning center. This is probably where I may end up a little bit, but more likely a developer portal. Okay, so there is a completely separate dev portal space. Sounds like, yeah. So maybe I just sort of reset and come over here and see this might speak a little bit more my language in terms of what I'm looking for. I'm guessing the documentation is also here. Is it the same? Yeah. Um, and what else? Just out of curious, starter templates, technologies getting started, developer showcase, developer blog, change log. I don't know. Partners, pricing. Pricing is a good stop. Um, it is available over here too, which is good. Um, just to see how far we're going to get here today and elsewhere. If I'm doing an evaluation, I'm not ready to put in a credit card yet. Unless I've been told I must use this and somebody else at the company has already signed a contract or something like that. But um, for developers and marketers building individual projects, that is me right now. One interest-based license, 5 users. Don't need 5 users, I don't think. But but actually, that is a good call. If my use case is community generated content, and the pricing is per user, it does suggest, like even at this 20 users, well, maybe an application is a user, in which case it's not that I need individualization for everyone within a community. But anyways, locales support not is in the free plan. Just tasks app. I don't know what that is. Um, I could probably get a little bit more info here. Yeah, right. I mean, there's a lot of detail here. I'm not necessarily going to go through it all. Um, but usually I'm only looking at what I don't get, right? So like custom aliases. What does that mean? CI/CD pipeline. Yeah, okay. Um, structured content reference view, multi-space visual modeler. I don't know. Up here is just a spectrum, how much data, assets, that kind of thing. But it does seem there is usage on transfer of data as well as the number of calls. Um, but it doesn't. Is it? But I'm not being charged based on how many records or the size of the records. Is that how I should understand that? I think so. Yeah, so it's based on band. I mean, there are bandwidth. an API number and asset size, but not number of records. Okay. I might have to verify that a little bit more. But here we go. Content types, environments, records. So there are some. There is a limit of 10,000 records, or 50,000, depending on which plan. Okay, well, that's enough for now on that. I did not see any red flags for what I am trying to accomplish yet. Oops. So let's go over the developer portal and kind of take a step back and say, okay, I looked at the marketing site. It didn't necessarily change any insight into what it is, other than what my expectations were coming in already. Welcome to the developer portal. Okay. Deliver content faster and a favorite programming language and framework. I think there's a missed opportunity here because this doesn't actually tell me what it is. It just tells me I can be with other developers. I can use a powerful thing. I can work faster, and I can use my preferred environment. But it doesn't tell me what I can do with it yet. Okay, so I was maybe hoping to get just a little bit more here. Let's try the Learning Center then. Here's what I could enroll in live training. Maybe just do the basics. Instructor-led training. Okay, this is maybe not what I wanted. This means I can go and attend a course tomorrow. I'm sure it's very good, but that's I kind of wanted to do it like right now, because I set aside some time to do this. All right, this is the point where sometimes I also do that and say, let me just go sign up and see what happens. Oops, my password manager. So I'm going to take this off screen just for one moment and tell you what I'm doing as I get in here. I am putting in my full name. My company is required, as well as my email address. I have the option of providing a job title, job function. Oh, nope, that's not optional. I have to put in whether I'm C-level, VP, director, manager, IC, consultant, other. I guess other's the answer. And then job function, although yeah, that is actually right. That's I could just put in student and then not have to worry about anyone giving me a phone call. That's always a consideration. Job function, I will say there's customer experience, developer, digital, HR, marketing, product sales. I'm going to say developer here. And then I can put in a password. This also kind of points to my preference. You know, there is an option to sign up with GitHub or Google. I prefer to create a separate account for each one and generate unique passwords. I don't know, maybe I'm a glutton for punishment in that sense, but all right. And I am a human. Oh, and now I have to choose. Oh, that's an interesting one. Click on all images of the heaviest animal species. I have not seen this before. So of these, presumably the horse is the heaviest. That seems fair. Okay. Yay. I am I am human after all. All right. So I am doing the sign up. My guess is I'll probably get an email verification as well. Oh, so now there's some more questions I have to answer. So just to um, wait, latest product releases. Yeah, it's not the appropriate time, so I'll skip that. How many years of coding experience do you have? Well, this is interesting kind of options. I have no choice but to answer it. Um, but it does make me wonder, like, clearly this is demographic information that they want. I don't see that I get any benefit by telling them this. But also, if I had 2 years or 3 years, like, is that how's I'm not interesting. I maybe there's some insight there, but I don't know what that is. So 5 plus seems like also a pretty wide range. How familiar are you with Contentful? Heard of it, never used it. That seems rote. What is your reason for signing up today? Um, Casually browsing, interested in trying out or learning. All right. So I'll go ahead and do that. All right. So, not what I expected. Okay. Start with a template. Select a starter template with source code, pre-built content model, and entries included, featuring Next.js. Yeah, so I'm not intending to use Next.js. Tailwind, Material UI, and Chakra. I've never actually heard of Chakra. It's interesting that that one's listed first. Um, I know Material and Tailwind, but I guess I just haven't encountered it. This is also why I'm like, okay, I guess I got to put that on a list and go figure out what that even means. If it was important enough to be one of the three that they're recommending, it must mean that there's a community there and a need, and I may find myself working on a project where I need to know that one of these days. But yeah, I think I need to start from scratch. Um, okay, learn how to use Contentful by completing these steps. Create a structure with a content model. So, I mean, now I'm going to say on the one hand, I do like that there's something kind of guiding me to get me started by asking me some questions here on what I'm trying to build, as opposed to dumping me in a dashboard. So I think and it says there's 4 steps. So I'm thinking it might be appropriate for me to go and try to do this guided tour. So define a schema for your content, including fields and data type. Design the content model. Um, Create your first type of content. Okay. All right. Um, all right. Well, let's say I want, well, um, we'll go with a technology. Um, Create. Define the structure of the content. Add a field. Rich text. Description. Um, Enable localization on this field. Wow, there's lots of options here. I have to admit, um, maybe a little overwhelming at this point, but I'm gonna assume I can come back and edit. So I'll just go ahead and confirm and save. So first content type complete. Okay, create content. Okay, let's add a description. So let's call it contentful is a piece of technology. Uh, contentful is a composable content API first software vendor. Okay, that seems reasonable. I guess this is maybe a question. Am I using Studio right now? What they call it Studio? What I saw in the main site? I think I might be. I mean, I would imagine. Oh, okay. Well, draft is automatically saved. Publish your changes. Uh, okay. I don't. This is untitled. How do I give it a title? Oh, oops. Oh. Okay. Back to. Here we go. Okay. This is. All right. I'll go ahead and hit publish. But like, it's weird to me. This doesn't have a title. How do I? Um, Review versions description untitled. That's weird to me, right? I'm going to add another entry. Supabase is a SQL database as a service and more offering. Okay, so now I've added two, but they're both untitled. And I can't change the title. It's kind of weird. I don't understand. Okay, uh-oh. But I have now lost the guided tutorial. How do I get back to it? Do I go back to home? Okay, yes. Create a content entry, make your first API call, and retrieve content. I do appreciate the fact that I was able to go back home and still pick up where I left off, even though I was a little disoriented for a moment. But let's open a code sample. All right. Don't steal my key since it's on the screen. Fetch content with this API. So it looks like I've got a number of examples. JavaScript. And I selected based on a key. So get spaces, and then I have a space ID. And then environments, master, entries, and then there's a UID there. Access token. And it looks like, yeah, that is all going to be public for getting. And that might be reasonable. Okay. I think that's fine. So this might be like a readable client side access token. Maybe I can lock it down based on like origination domain or something like that. And then there's maybe a separate token for writing. That's what I'm hoping. Okay, so I did not necessarily complete that or the consume API. But, oops. I'm just sort of peeking around here. Um, but it does seem like I can modify content, upload media, go to apps, settings, and maybe there's another menu here. I have a blank space, org settings. Wonder, do I name this? It's weird that it says blank. Do I have the ability to name it? Um, okay, this is telling me a little bit about my subscription, my organization ID. Okay, here's my space. Uh-oh. Um, I forget. Am I allowed to have more than one space? I don't know. Usage. Wait, what? I don't have that many viewers. No, there's 159 API calls. How did that happen? January 4th. I mean, today's the 3rd. I've already made 45 API calls. How'd that happen? And I'm making 159 more tomorrow. That, so back to developer journey and credibility. That's a little concerning because that's just not accurate. So I don't know what's happening here in terms of metering. That and is it that everything I do in the dashboard? So I created content through that experience. I'm guessing that counted as usage. Every time I loaded the page, wow, 159 calls, and the plan only it gives me what was it 10,000, whatever it was. If I'm making 210 minutes, that's not going to work so well. That could just be a glitch. I'm not, it's probably not a big deal, but yeah, something seemed a little bit off to me about that. Okay, so I've explored the dashboard a little bit, and it does seem like I can do some content modification. I did, but let's just take a peek at the docs because I think docs are super important as well. And I always like looking into blogs, but interesting that it's a top level menu. Yeah, I don't see too many docs organized this way, right? Usually you have the busy left menu. Not that it's right or wrong, but it's trying something different. And I'll be interested if this is easier to use or not. It's interesting that all topics way down here. What is rich text? Was that up here? What is rich text? So list of concepts here. It's like a box layout and then the same information here in a bulleted list. I'm a little lost. Let's go back to let's get started. Let's start there. Breadcrumbs is always good. See how Contentful works with Gatsby. I'm not using Gatsby, but if that's just a stand-in for like a generic Jamstack type blogging solution or static website, build, fetch content with the delivery API, webhook notifications, hosting, Heroku, Netlify, GraphQL interface. Yeah. I do like from the dashboard, I do get the sense that I'm able to model content in the way that makes sense to me, right? Like I don't have to be within some constraint of, oh, this is a page title and this is the page body. I could be a little bit more semantic than that. I do find that appealing. Um, let's see. So this is going to install Gatsby. I don't want to install Gatsby. I wanted to use Contentful. Um, I don't feel like this is the guide for me. Let's see if there's something else I can look at instead. Create a custom app, build a backend, request verification, A/B testing. That's cool. That is also something I'm interested in, and why I don't feel like static generated content from markdown files or even components is what I have in mind, because I do want to do a little bit more programmatic A/B testing type of functionality. Okay. Well, I am just about out of time. I might call this a draw in some ways, that I'm just going to need more time. The getting started guide being Gatsby based is not what I'm looking for. So maybe I need to check out, a custom app type solution. I need to play with the GraphQL a little bit. I did find it surprising. So like if I went back to that dashboard, for a second, I don't remember how to get there. But I didn't find my API keys front and center. That's definitely gearing me toward editing the content front and center. So I might have to use that guided tour again to get back to, okay, that's my API key. That's how I'm going to do this. Yeah. So I just I don't have much more time. So I think I have to call it here. I sort of got a hello world though, right? Like I was able to create content in the dashboard, which is nice. I did see that there was an API key. I got a sense of what the resource structure was to use the delivery API. But the getting started that I landed on here definitely took me in a sideways direction from the path I really want. So I think I've mentioned in other shows, I've been using Svelte and SvelteKit. If I found something more appropriate to that, that would maybe kickstart me just a little bit faster. Not using Nuxt or Next or Gatsby. So in that sense, I kind of didn't find what I was looking for. But I do like the fact that I do see some of the other languages like Python here. Like I could see myself writing a lot of like workflow scripts with Python to manipulate content or do an analysis over the content. So I can see a lot of power here. But okay, well that was my first half hour or so. I sort of got to I was able to do something. I was able to create my account. I didn't get an email verification, interestingly enough, but I will look for that separately, or it wasn't necessary for me to move forward. Actually, I wonder. I'm just gonna go take a peek real quick and see. Yeah, interesting. I created an account and I did not get an email at all. Interesting. All right, I will look into that a little bit more too. So anyways, thank you. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and until the next time. Thanks.